Welcome to Edge of Intelligence, the podcast where we explore how leaders are actually implementing AI, automation, and digital transformation. I'm your host, Carl Owen, fractional CIO and AI advisor at Protelligent. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Todd Kueny, CEO and co-founder of Clarus AI. With over 20 years in software and tech leadership, including founding Patient Wing, Todd is now pioneering compliant AI for regulated industries like life sciences, finance, and manufacturing. His work includes powering the Cognito AI Librarian for Rare Revolution's Rare Disease Intelligence Platform, a great example of regulated AI done right. Todd, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Carl. Yeah, glad to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely, glad to have you. You've spent 2 decades in software and healthcare tech, and now you're solving compliance-first AI. Walk us through your journey from architecting systems to building Clarus AI.
That's a good question. It started young. I started like kind of programming at a very young age, but didn't really apply it to business, right? So till later in life, right? Like it was for me when I was younger, it was more about like just solving it or like trying to figure out how to do it. And then like how to like, but I wasn't really good with it in a business sense. So I just worked for people, and I worked for a lot of people and got a lot of experience working on different types of systems, different types of technologies. I grew from that into going into mainly IT, the IT space, like in healthcare, like specifically in compliant spaces like life sciences. I've done a lot of work there, a lot of experience. I have another company that I started with Patient Wing. It's called Patient Wing, and they do patient recruitment for clinical trials. And to be honest, I learned a lot. Just like at first, we stumbled a lot there early on. So you learn a lot in that sense, right? But anyway, yeah. So then it just grew from there, and then Clarus started because, well, we saw a growing, the growing market of AI and really what you could do with it. But we didn't really see everyone was like always like against each other on compliance, or like some people wanted it, some people didn't. So I think it was a good time to go into it and say, well, someone needs to figure that out, right? And so that's what we did.
Well, so Clarus positions itself as enterprise-grade compliance-aware AI. How are you delivering on that promise in regulated industries?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's not easy, right? So I think with us, we have a really good balance and mix of the team with experience in these types of things, right? So I guess, or ask your question. What was the question you asked? Sorry, can you ask it again?
No problem. So the question is, Clarus positions itself as enterprise-grade compliance-aware AI. So how are you delivering on that promise in regulated industries?
Yeah, well, I mean, everything we do is we have a good balance on our team of experience in these fields, like regulated industries, life sciences. I mean, my background specifically is a lot in life sciences. And so it just goes into everything that we do. And so, we take the regulations seriously. We understand how to apply them in business or in different scenarios. And specifically on our Clarus AI platform. I mean, I've been through many audits, like at Patient Wing as an example. We went through many audits because like we'd have customers like Pfizer or biotechs, big pharmaceuticals, right, where they'll do those audits, right, and you have to be able to kind of. So I think it's a combination of experience, and then we're also really good at technology, right? Like my partner Paul, he did like a master's in AI like in the 90s. He always talks about that, but yeah, I think it's just a great synergy of a team in terms of experience and that. And then I think we decided to focus that on regulated industries and specifically life sciences right now.
Can you tell us a little bit about notable clients or use cases you have, like Rare Revolution's Cognito AI Librarian, and what impact you've seen there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So these are things we just rolled out, and we're seeing, I don't want to give out any numbers at the moment, right? Because we're still going through stuff. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing, there's a lot of activity. And the AI Cognito library was really cool because we worked with them to help. We wanted to help try to provide. We love Patient Wing actually worked with Rare Revolution. That's how I knew of them even before Clarus. And so, at Clarus, though, we really liked what they do and how they communicate rare diseases, how, women's health's important, all these different things we really liked about them. And so, yeah, we wanted, we did a project with them where they wanted to be able to deliver their insights to their end users or to users that are interested in their information. And so that's how we teamed up. And we called it the AI, the Rare Revolution AI Cognito Librarian, where you can basically go there and ask about like the different magazines editions that they have, what interviews might have been done by who on what diseases. So you can get like quick insights, and it can even help you. We had like a feature rolled out at a paid level where it could automatically like draft new articles based off their information, right, and help you write new content or additional content on top of what they've been doing, right? So a lot of cool synergies we did there, and I think the compliance part maybe is less relevant in that situation. I mean, it's relevant because we have to follow certain standards like GDPR, making sure data that we collect is captured correctly. So there are a lot of standards, but that's probably on the lower side, I would say, of one of our projects. A higher side would be another example would be we actually have a large pharmaceutical company as one of our clients, where they do like they make like an inhalant for like to cure certain diseases or do various things, but they do like the manufacturing part of it too. And so the use case is there, and this is actually the product that we're rolling out initially. Basically, we have a product that we already did a POC with them, and they really liked what happened, and we're already moving to a production ready version of this. But like it's where basically we'll ingest all their SOPs, all their work instructions, guidelines, whatever things they have as part of their either manufacturing or quality processes, depending on what we're looking at. But we ingest those, and then we have a system where it'll go through and automatically let you know based off what regulation. So it maps it to regulations to let you know if you're like in compliance or not, and are areas where you may not be. It gives suggestions and then annotates it for you, so then you can review it and approve or reject it. So we combined all that with human in the loop feedback to try to make it an autonomous way, and we think we can save thousands or hundreds of hours, like because like if a new requirement comes out, they might have to change 100 documents or 50 documents, right? And the amount of time it takes for people to do that, communication, so if AI can kind of get them, let's say 85% there with like annotating and letting them know, and then they can focus more on what it should say or how it should be. And anyway, so that's the other, we're doing that now, and we're rolling that out with other clients as well at the moment. So, yeah.
That sounds awesome. And that kind of segues into my next question. I'm always really interested in KPIs and metrics so people can see the value in some of these tools. So what metrics like compliance violations avoided, time saved, or risk reduced do your clients track most closely?
That's another great question. I mean, yeah, so I mean, we're working on this. Right now, we know like time saved, obviously, like so in the example that I gave you, right, there's different ways that you could deploy that. And I think one valuable way would be if it just automatically did it for you and then proactively like alerted you, right? So that one is that just saves time because now you know, and then it can, and then there's ways for it to help you do the work, the actual work too, right? So that's the agentic part of it where it can do a lot of that. But then again, like I said, we keep the human in the loop so that I don't know, did I answer your question? I feel like I didn't
You
answer
did.
your question.
You did. You
Okay,
did.
okay.
Well, kind of continuing in that vein, when you speak to CXOs or regulators, what's the hardest part that they need to hear to get on board with these tools?
Well, I mean, I think the hardest part might be to say, like, if you don't start leveraging or taking advantage of AI where it makes sense, right, someone else will. So I think like that. That's what you need. Like now, I'm not saying you have to rush out and just go buy AI. That's not what anyone's saying. I think I think what businesses should be doing right now is just thinking. I'm not, it's like, don't even necessarily buy something yet. Just think about how does AI work? What does my business do? Can I make it more efficient or more cost of something? Can I do something? Can the AI help me in some way to improve my ROI, whatever goals I have? Maybe it's more profit, more revenue, more clients, whatever it is, right? I think you think like that, right? Because that's what people are thinking like, right? You'll get left behind if you don't.
Yeah, I still think we have that situation where people are scared of AI. Just they're concerned about the risk and security potential implications and things like that. So I still think we have that to overcome.
That's fair. That's fair. And we get that a lot. We get people they're not sure if they're ready or if they should do it. And I think, but that's again where you still want to go in and just be honest. Like it's like, okay, well, how do you like? It's like, could it even help you? Because at that point, then maybe it doesn't even matter, right? But or if it can, right, then think about like if you're willing to take on some risk. But more of these sectors are taking on some of that risk, right? And that's very clear, right? So, but my point would be like, again, you don't want to wait too long, right? Because then you might be too far behind someone else that tried it earlier, right? So, but yeah, fair point.
Well, from your perspective, what's the difference between AI compliance and traditional data security or privacy measures?
You mean what's the difference? Like, what does ask that again? My apologies, sorry.
Oh, no, no problem. Just from your perspective, what do you see as the difference between AI compliance or leveraging AI for compliance and then traditional data security or privacy measures?
Well, I think they work together. I mean, it's not like one or the other. I think they work together. And the AI compliance, really, I mean, it's like, I don't think there's any one way to do AI compliance as far as I can tell, right? And if there was, then I'd say, hey, let's do it that way, right? And but I think obviously that's going to like go slow. But again, like AI compliance, and I just gave you the use case that we had. I think like you like where AI will shine and stuff like that is where things are very repetitive and can be easily like done, with in some way, right? Like automated or in some kind of AI agentic process, right? If that makes sense.
It does. It does. Um, let's dig into Clarus a little bit. Where is Clarus using generative AI, RAG models, or agentic systems today versus more transactional analytics?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, generative AI, we do a lot. I mean, that's like the Ray Revolution. That's an example of our generative AI, and that part, like that's all built out too, because we do like roles and permissions, and so not everyone can access all the data, and so it's actually a pretty complex. We do a lot of RAG in that, right? So in our generative AI, it goes through a RAG pipeline. That's how we control roles and permissions and who can see what data or what role or tier is allowed to see what or do what. Uh, and then for our agentic, we're actually building more of that type of stuff out, right? I'll give you two examples. I have two clear examples, I think, of an agent that we've built or like implemented. So one would be we did one. We actually have a client where we built out like a scheduling assistant, right? It was basically like an AI scheduling assistant for a doctor's office. And the way it worked is they had an EHR, so the AI had to be aware of like the EHR, how to check availability in the EHR, and so we made it so that the users could or like patients could come in and just like chat to it as if they were like a nurse or a scheduler, and then it would just schedule it for and help them schedule it, puts it in the HR form, lets the doctors know, pops it up in the like gives everyone what they need to know. And it does that. Like it does things autonomously. There's some actions where it'll go look for availability and decide, is there something available or not. And so there are decisions in there being made by the agent itself, right? That's like, and maybe it's not a huge example, but that's how it starts, right? And then I would say the second example that we have like we're working with a manufacturing partner that we have, and they work on like large equipment like steamers, boilers, stuff like that, and so They use both or generative. They're using that right now, and then we're building out an agent with them that's going to connect into their like back end CRM or like NetSuite type system, right? And then like they'll be able to just chat and conversate with the AI, and it'll be able to do lookups and checks on like customers or orders or so, and they'll be making some decisions. Like you might be able to make an update or have it, try to make an update to some of those orders based off a conversation, right? So it's kind of like that, and I think that's the second area where we've had some success with agents, and obviously with MCP, like that model context protocol, we have plans of more agents that we're coming out with soon. So
That sounds really interesting. Key to all this is the data being clean, standardized, and all that kind of thing. I see that all the time with dealing with some of my clients that think they're ready to go with AI, and the data's just not there to even train a chatbot. So, how mature is your data infrastructure? Are your clients bringing well-governed data sets, or do you see a lot of quality issues with that?
yeah, another great question. I mean, it varies. Like you'll have some clients. I mean, generally speaking, like people's data is not great, or at least sometimes you might have to structure it into based off what you're trying to do for them, right? Like they might have good data, but maybe it's not like set up in a way where the answers they're or the questions they're trying to answer, it may not be geared towards that, right? And so we do a lot of work where we'll transform it, and there are a lot of issues or missing things, missing data. But I think the important stuff you want to make sure you have all. You're right. I mean, you said the thing you said is exactly. It's not about the amount of data. It's about the quality of the data, and then adding from there. Yeah, that's the best. And sometimes you have to redo it. Like maybe you structure it, you might have to clean it up or re-index things or do stuff depending on what you're doing. Yeah, I mean, that's a great question.
That's going to continue to be a challenge. What are some of the other big technical blockers you're seeing when rolling out AI in regulated settings?
Uh, well, I mean, I'll be frank, right? This is actually the first AI company I've had where I'm actually deploying things in production settings, right? I've never done that personally, right? So it's for me, it's a new experience, and it's challenging, right? I think there's different aspects. Like first of all, the technology is slightly different. There's like a streaming component to it where resources can be used, and then the LLM and the way that we're doing that has costs, and consequences. If you tweak things or do stuff, it can be more expensive, less expensive. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it, for me, this is the first time doing it, but I'm getting a lot of experience, and I'd say a lot of the challenges are scaling it, right? From what I've seen so far and what I'm seeing now, I think like my challenge is like scaling it with people and or like the tech itself or how it works, right? Knowing it's like you don't know the right thing to do. You have to like go through it to figure that out, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like building an airplane while you're flying.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you're like I hope yeah, I hope the wings are like do you hope they're good.
That's right. That's right. Well, beyond compliance, where do you see other manual processes, reporting, documentation, workflows that are begging for automation?
I mean, it's everything, dude. So I focus on compliance now because I think that's where I can have the biggest impact, right? Because I know that stuff well, or at least like I'm willing to like learn it and do it. It's like I've done it my whole life, and so there it is, right? But you could apply it to anything. Like there's no like it's right now it's that's we're just limit. We're trying to go to market with something that can actually help a business specifically do specific things, and we're trying to go down more of that route. But there's so many, I think at a broader level, there's so many, like AI can transform virtually everything. It's just a matter of what's the experience around it and how does it, is it scalable, yeah.
What are some of the challenges that you're seeing that slow your deployments, or even, I assume you got SLAs in place for things that risk your SLAs as well. What are some of those challenges that you're seeing out there?
Yeah, I mean, what are some of the risks with our SLAs? That's the question? Yeah, I mean, dude, everything. I mean, I mean, again, I think all of our normal systems we kind of use. So we're on Azure. We use Microsoft Azure. And we kind of use a lot of the stuff, right? Like the SQL or the database, the app service. A lot of our stuff's kind of like containerized and can kind of be deployed very easily. Like we have automated pipelines already set up where everything's like that. But again, the challenges are, we're moving really like it's just like any other business. It's like we're moving super fast. We don't have a ton of developers. We're not some large development shop. We have about a team of about 15 people, and we move really quick. We build a lot of features, but it gets hard and hard to manage the more it grows, right? And so that's obviously always a challenge. And so then it's always a trade-off of like tech debt, new features, or the kind of the standard run of the norm. And then it's also just trying to scale other parts of the business. It's like it's difficult to do on your own, and that's why I'm glad I have my partner Paul, because he's done this a lot. He's had much more experience doing those parts of it, like getting the business, getting it to those next levels. Where I've done it, but it's like I've done it more just from as a developer, kind of going up. Anyway, yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yeah, you did. You know, my experience with some of this stuff when I'm reaching out to clients to try to help them with workflows or lead generation or all the different possibilities that are out there from an AI perspective, it always comes back to ROI, which it probably should, right? So how do your clients measure ROI? Is it cost reduction, faster regulatory approval, fewer incidents, or something else?
Well, that's a great. Well, I mean, that's so awesome question, and that's part of our work is we ask and we try to figure those things out, and then w- we try to understand could we help that, and if yes, then we engage with that and we'll track those, and then we're gonna like we're in the middle of trying to prove out our use cases. Like it's like we started with some use cases, got some clients, right? Now we want to prove what we're saying, right? And we're not quite there, right? But we have initial numbers, and it's not like we're not doing nothing, right? But we want to try to get that momentum more, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, the other challenge that I'm seeing too, when I go into some places is pushback from the internal teams, right? Whether it's cultural resistance or lack of trust in AI, I'm going to lose my job over this, or just organizational silos where they don't speak to each other or share data or any of that kind of thing. Are you seeing any pushback from some of the internal teams as you go in and deploy your systems?
Yeah, we definitely do, and it's like partly it's some of it's like what you said. Some of them like are they're afraid, or they're not like it's a big project. They're not sure. Sometimes it's not even any of that. They're just not sure how to get started, right? Or they want to take more time to get started, right? So a lot of it could just be things like that. But we've done pretty well, I'd say, with our outreach where we've like people we talk to are usually engaged or like we try to get feedback what they didn't like. If we don't close them, it's like okay, what didn't you like? Or we want to try to make it better. So we're very open to those types of things. And then yeah, yeah.
Well, as Clarus grows across different verticals like finance, manufacturing, life sciences, and things like that, are you seeing any shared challenges emerge from that? And then, how do you or how are you tailoring the system based on that on the different verticals?
So that's a yeah, another great question. I mean, it's funny. So the finance side of it is like if I was to order those for you in terms of Clarus, it's really life sciences and manufacturing. Um, the finance comes so Clarus AI acquired a company called NRG Edge, and that was a company where they sold like CMS software, we call it Magnolia, to they basically sold that and like set it up, and then they would basically do all the implementations. They were a partner with Magnolia, and their clients were banks, right? A lot of their clients were banks, big banks. They would manage all their content, all their stuff, right? And so we acquired them, and now they're our clients, right? And we're working with them still as well. But there's a difference between that side of it and the AI side. Right now, we're bringing them together, and we're getting a lot of deals with them together. That's kind of more where the finance came in. And so we have a good expertise in that because of that acquisition. But in terms of me and Paul, we have a great experience on the compliance side and the life sciences specifically side. I don't,
Well, look,
yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry,
Did
go
that
ahead.
answer? Sorry. Did that answer? Did that answer
Yeah,
your
it
question?
did. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
Well, looking ahead, where do you want to take the product next?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it'd be cool like one day to make. I mean, not well. I guess what's next, right? Well, obviously, what's next is scaling. We want to make sure we scale the product. We want to make sure that this. So, like I said, we're kind of going to market with this life science kind of SOP compliance. It's like a, kind of our first, thing where we're getting some traction on. And so, obviously, I want the next steps would be we're making sure that that is going to do what we say it will, right? That's the first, or like that's our next steps in monitoring that, but then growing, getting other clients, and expanding upon other things that we can do in the, let's say, in the life sciences space, because it's a big space, and I think, but we want to specialize around how businesses could take advantage of AI in that space, right? So.
Well, all right. So operationally, what's top of mind for you? Building your data engine out, scaling the platform more. You just mentioned that. I know. Building more governance capabilities or client enablement.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the, I mean, well, we want to acquire new customers, but not too much to the point where it's overloaded, right? So, next steps is we're trying to scale the right way with a specific product so that we can scale easier, right? I mean, that's really the next step. But then we have other products that we've already been thinking through and want to do. It's just a matter now of how do we kind of do that. And I'll say this, like on our radar right now is we're looking to do some fundraising, right? I think that would help speed some of that up. But I think it's client acquisition and building out security and features of the platform that go together with that. Yeah, and I don't know if you how much you I don't know if I shared any of the but we have some blog articles where it talks about our platform. And so it's kind of three layers. It's like there's a UI kind of front end layer, there's a middleware compliance layer, and there's an AI engine layer. I would say those are all, we're making changes to those literally every week. We're building out new features. It could be faster indexing. It could be, annotating SOP documents, right? So a lot of it, I think over the next, let's say 6 to 12 months, it's going to be building out features and trying to solidify what we have and gaining traction in the market, right? And we have to be aware of flags, where things we might need to adjust or whatever, but that's kind of where we are. Yeah.
Sounds like you guys have come a long way in a short period of time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Todd, this has been an enlightening conversation from your vision of compliant, contextual, enterprise grade AI to your real world impact in regulated sectors. You're doing critical work. For those who want to follow Clarus AI or connect with you, what's the best way?
You can reach us at www.clarusinsight.ai. And you can also reach me at todd@clarusinsight.ai. That's the best way.
Thank you. And to our listeners, if this episode got you thinking about how to operationalize compliant AI, scale responsibly, or build the right data and governance foundation, let's connect. Visit us at Protelligent.com or reach out on LinkedIn. Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay strategic, and stay on the edge of intelligence.